Charm it up, Fuzzball. ARH8's Chewie puts the lovable scoundrels back together again in a charming way. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, my Star Wars Destiny friends. Welcome back to Dice Commando and the Commando cast, and happy Destiny Friday. Thank you for checking in today as we're talking Chewie kind of as the poster child for this discussion, right? ARH8's Chewie puts the boys back together again in like I said, in a charming way. But I think it's really cool to showcase kind of a couple of things that I want to talk about before we get to the deck that I want to cover that I've built for these two. So when we've had Echo on here before, and we were talking about kind of the lifespan of a mechanic, or maybe not the lifespan, but the life cycle of a mechanic, right? Something like Detect, right, generally lasts 3 sets. Charm was introduced 3 sets ago. This is the 3rd set in which Charm has been out. And generally when you introduce a new mechanic, you need to throw fundamental support for it in 1 set. You can then kind of develop it in the 2nd set. And then by the 3rd set, it's kind of on that trailing downslide, right? And that doesn't mean like that it's going away or something like that. But what you see, and we'll talk about how it fits into both of these characters, what you start to see through that life cycle is that it starts to integrate itself into other things and not be the primary function. Whereas like on the 1st set, you're going to have Garzas and stuff like that, where what they're trying to do is that mechanic. Whereas later on, it's integrated. And I think we have a really good example of that life cycle span here, right? Looking at Han, who came first. Okay, so 11-13 for 11 health, character pilot scoundrel, pretty cool. 1 gun, 2 gun, 1 discard, resource, and a blank. Very Han Solo-esque to have the dual resource. Charm and piloting. But his power action is remove 2 charm tokens from a character to reveal that character's controller's hand. So you generally want to do that offensively, right? Don't have to, though. Don't have to. You may then choose a card in that player's hand with cost 3 or less to roll its die into your pool and resolve it if able. Otherwise, remove it, being the die. Okay, so what you see here is he has charm, so he comes out and he can put the token on whomever. Okay, that's built into his thing, and then his power action specifically revolves around charm, right? What he does, he's a charming scoundrel, right? But now let's go over to Chewie, Loyal Companion, who again came out in ARH8, which is the 3rd set removed from charm. So he's 14-17 for 13. Now that's not cracking any eggs. We've seen, whether it be exactly the point values, that's a very Chewie template, right? We've seen very, very similar Chewies to that, especially, referring to like RDM Chewie. Okay, so Chewie himself, 14-17-13, character scoundrel Wookiee, no surprise there. 2 gun, 2 melee, 3 shield. That's a whopper. 2 resources and a blank. Okay, so the resources fits in very well with both of these folks, also with some of the cards that we are allowed then, or more comfortable, I should say, choosing within the deck with having that many resource sides. So he has Guardian and piloting as well. So these both have piloting, which means we can skew to a support deck, which is pretty cool. But after you activate a scoundrel, if 1 or more of its dice rolled a resource, place 1 charm token on a card in play, right? So he himself doesn't have charm, but he actually, in theory, could use charm or add charm, be charming when Han comes in as well, right? So he's a supportive charming character. And then if you go to his power action, resolve 1 of your dice showing a resource as if it were showing ranged, increasing its value by 1. So you see that his ability itself doesn't really do anything with charm. So Han is your charmer and Chewie is your supporter. That's pretty darn thematic now, isn't it? But it also shows how, in the 3rd set, or several sets removed, I should say, from the introduction mechanic, you start to see it really integrating itself into the cards as opposed to being a primary function. And I think that's really cool there. Now, next thing I want to talk about real quick is just putting, we have a long history of Chewie in Star Wars Destiny, as we should, because he's a very important character within all of Star Wars. But he has never been great. Right, we've had, the first version was bad, right? We got Chewie Beast in, I think, was it AT? No, it was Convergence. We got Chewie Beast. He was 15. He fit well with ATG Han, and that was fine. They were both the same era. It was a good, not great scenario. The best and closest we've ever come to a good Chewie in my opinion, is RDM Chewie. That's the red version of Chewie, the one who was very Guardian focused, right? Now, he of himself wasn't all that, he was good, he wasn't all that great, but him combined with the Guardian package that was supported in Redemption made him pretty decent, right? So I do believe that this Chewie is a step back, but that's not necessarily, right? That's not a complaint, right? He's serving a different function. He really goes very well with Han Solo. And I think that's where he fits, is specifically in the deck that I want to go over now. Right, so this deck is Lovable Rascals, and the link is below. You can check it out. Okay, so what we have here, I have chosen Garza's Sanctuary. So this one says choose a symbol to re-roll a die, and if that die is showing that symbol, you may turn a different die to the same symbol, showing a value of 2 or less. So I think this works pretty well with us. Let's actually close this just for a sec so you can re-see the die sides. Now, you only have a 33% chance on each one of these dice of, I mean, we're going to be calling resources vast majority of the time if we're doing this. Now, there are other cards in the deck you'll see that have, you know, like upgrades that have a better chance of that. But functionally, the reason I've landed on Garza's is I didn't see anything else that popped better. If you have better suggestions, let me know below what you're thinking. The piloting battlefield's gone, right? Cloud City's gone. Was it Cloud City? I think it was Cloud City, yeah. So that's gone. But you also need to remember that, like, if our die were like super good with this ability, if we're not able to stay in front of our opponent, they could then use it offensively on us. So I think it's okay where it lands with how it is now. Okay, so putting the deck back up and going back to the deck, you can see this is mainly a support deck. We have a lot of supports in here. Upgrades are on, I have 6 upgrades, but really only 4. So I have bow rifle, remember this one. So not only does it have 4 damage sides, this one's super good, but it's can resolve as range damage, which works really well with our characters. We then have the E851 blaster pistol, which is a cost of 2, also has redeploy. And while this upgrade is on a scoundrel, which both of our characters are, you can resolve the indirect as if they were range damage. So this is a 1 gun, 2 gun, plus 3 gun. That's pretty good. Then we have Lavish Cape, because why the heck would we not? After you play this upgrade, give attached character shield and draw a card. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Right, now, the one wild card in the deck that I still am flip-flopping on is Defiant Uprising. So obviously you're not getting the action economy out of this because, you know, if you activate it says if you activate a blue or red, you can activate this. So we're losing our action economy there. But this is also a pretty good support. The other thing is it can't be piloted. But if you look at just the raw value, I thought it was pretty good. If you want to do something else, that's probably your flex slot. And again, I'll take feedback on that below. The Gonk Droid, I have 2 copies of that. Now, do note that, you know, a lot of our top die on our characters, that's to say, are 1s and 2s. The Millennium Falcon even itself, which is our big boy, is a 2. So that's not getting us, you know, as much value as other decks where you've got that big whopping 3 maybe on top. But the Gonk Droid still he's just really good, right? Gonk, 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 gonk. Now, for the big boy, we've got the Millennium Falcon. So this is the ATG Falcon, the Han Biggs Falcon, if you will. This thing lets us bring in all of our boys plus whatever they've got equipped with plus 1 other vehicle because you can activate pilot. Awesome. So we went with this one. I don't think you're going to have a hard time getting this one out. I would love to be able to AR with it or something like that, but so be it. I then have the Partisan X-Wing. This thing's really good. Really, really, really good. You could put cluster missiles on it as well. Maybe that's what you do instead of Defiant Uprising. It just seems a little too cute to try and get them out at the same time, but maybe. Anyway, 1 gun, 2 indirect, 3 indirect, really good. And then Razor Crest is a 1 of. This is a good little support as well. So you've got a pretty decent, you have 9 supports, pretty decent amount of them. Gonk Droid, of course, is not a vehicle, so you can't pilot, but he's pretty good for 1 resource. Now, moving into the event. So we do have Charm Offensive. We're going to be producing plenty of Charm. So remove 1 Charm from a token to remove a character die. I do have Point Blank. I have 2 of these. So spot a scoundrel, resolve 1 of your dice showing ranged, increasing it by 1. Or 2 instead if you have no other dice in your pool. That is a possibility. I have Quite the Mercenary, which is 1. Play only if opponent dealt damage to 1 of your scoundrels. So if you take damage, heal 2 from that character and turn 1 of that character's character or upgrade dice to any side. Not, of course, the one they're piloting. but so be it. That moves us, this is in very similar vein to the next one, which is Rallying Cry, right? That's a reprint from Redemption, also in that red Chewie package. Smuggler's Run, resolve one of your scoundrel vehicle or pilot dice showing a resource, re-rolling it instead of removing it. Plenty of resource sides there. I have Suspicion, which is remove all charm tokens from a character. Then if you remove 2 or more, deal 2 damage to a character. So do note, you can actually use that offensively or defensively, not for the 2 damage, but in terms of removing the charm tokens. This is the way. Play only if all characters on your team share a color or subtype. We share both. Remove an opponent's die. That is a 1-drop. And then 1 copy of Walking Carpet, because it felt so good to put in here. If you control the character with the highest point value, not health, point value, roll 1 of its character dice into your pool, and if an opponent controls the character with the highest point value, remove a character die. That puts us at 30 points, 30 cards, a rounded out Destiny deck that we can enjoy our lovable scoundrels. So I thought this was fun to put together. You know, we've got the Hans, so, you know, if you think back to Smash, we've got a Han Chewie pairing potential there, which is really fun to play. But I really like how this deck is able to take advantage of the charm concept, but it doesn't have to revolve around the concept. It's really just added flavor, and I think it's really, really, really cool. So anyway, that'll do it for me today. Thank you for joining here on your Destiny Friday. Let me know what you think, what other fun decks you're playing, how things are going for you. If nothing else, my friends, go Commando.